In the last couple years, Fortnitemares went from being the most loved event of the year to now being in trouble. But to see why, we have to return to what made it so good to begin with, and that was all the way back in 2017. We were just weeks into the phenomenon that would become Fortnite, and Epic was already preparing an update to blow away new players, a Halloween event officially named Fortnitemares. Moving away from the seasonal store, they introduced a brand new feature, the item shop, bringing Skull and Gold Trooper to our lockers for the very first time. It was instantly a massive hit, with players all over the world swarming to try the new pumpkin launcher or scythe pickaxe. And while we look back on this event and realize just how simple it was, this was also 2017, a fresh start with plenty of room for improvement. Fortnitemares was about to go on an insane journey, with Epic already planning an incredible future of live events, crossovers, and that kicked off in 2018. The year Fortnite would take over the world, and part of that was thanks to Kevin the Cube. After he saw him turn into a floating island, Epic decided that this year's Fortnitemares would be different. It would be themed around the story with a range of Cube-inspired features. An original character, Deadfire, took center stage in his quest to destroy zombies. Yes, we could do exactly that, as Cube monsters invaded the Battle Royale island, giving us amazing loot for eliminations. This was the first time we had waves of enemies on the map, and Epic didn't stop there. They even turned Team Rumble into Team Terror with Halloween decorations and zombies to fight off. The island was also full of details, with the battle bus crashing in the trailer only to appear in-game. But we weren't focused on that. In the time between 2018 and the previous Fortnitemares, Skull Trooper had become something of an icon. Fortnite was now the biggest game in the world, and anyone who didn't pick him up a year before was desperate to get their hands on him. But the original owners refused to allow this to happen, claiming they had the rarest skin fair and square. So Epic made a compromise, bringing Skull Trooper back, but with an exclusive variant for anyone who already owned him. It was the first time they had ever done something like this, but we quickly became distracted by something much more important: a live event. While Fortnitemares was still happening, Kevin the Cube's island had become more and more unstable, leading us to the infamous butterfly that shocked the world. Looking back, you probably forgot this is in the middle of Halloween. That's how huge it was. And Fortnitemares just kept getting better. We went from small changes to an entirely new mode. At this point in 2019, we were enjoying the fresh map of Chapter 2, and it was incredible. But things took a sudden turn as changes happened all over the island for Halloween. They reopened the Hey Boo store at Retail Row, furniture started to float and be possessed, and now Fortnite had turned into a horror game thanks to jump scare zombies.
This guy's fighting. Oh my god, bro! Scared the crap out of me.
Oh my god, Sykkuno, you can be a...
Are you okay? I still haven't found a gun yet.
Okay, this is abuse!
At the same time, Gold Trooper finally returned after 2 years of waiting, also getting an OG variant for anyone who bought her in the first event. Now that was cool, but she wasn't the only familiar face this year. More importantly, the Storm King LTM was introduced. This mode brought a fan favorite Save the World villain to Battle Royale, and it was one of the first boss fights we had ever had. People loved this mode. At times, it was way too difficult, so they had to nerf it, but the fact they designed this whole thing just for a short Halloween event was amazing. There were also some incredible secrets at this time, like the release of the Pump It Up emote, which included an insane reference, the Dancing Pumpkin Man. He originally gave them permission to do it until things got ugly in court. Epic had bigger problems to worry about, like how they would continue to make this event better than the last. At this point, we're heading into 2020, which was a tough year for everyone, but it also meant that more people were at home playing Fortnite than ever. This Halloween event needed to be massive, so Epic took us by complete surprise. As we loaded in, most of us were shocked to see the return of Midas. The hype for this guy was so ridiculous that they had to bring him back. We were so excited when we learned about this, and he wasn't there for decoration. The entire holiday was themed around him. Say hello to Midas's revenge, and if you played back then, you probably had one of two reactions. Either you're thrilled to hear about this again, or you're still reeling with anger about it. That's how divisive this update was. Midas's revenge was an LTM that turned Battle Royale into Infected mode. Once he got eliminated, you would turn into a shadow and could take out the remaining players. An incredible idea on paper. Who wouldn't want to try this out? It had everything you'd want for a Halloween mode, with updated POIs, new items, and a totally different vibe to the map. Some would argue this was the peak of Fortnitemares, where Epic put the most effort into it we have ever seen. The update was huge, giving us a Shadow Midas drum gun and new mobility items like the Witch Broom. We even got candy buckets for the first time. They seriously went all out, except there was one problem. This wasn't actually an LTM, it was the game. You had no choice if you wanted to play this or not. Battle Royale was taken over for 2 weeks, causing millions to be furious. Despite that, Fortnitemares 2020 was a staple in the journey of Halloween events, and until now, Epic have been adding more and more every year. This update had so much to enjoy with tons of iconic skins like the Good Doctor, a reference to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There was also the very first transformation emote, followed by the Baba Yaga, who is based on a Russian folktale. But don't forget, this was 2020, the year that crossovers began to dominate Fortnite. Not only were they sneaking into battle passes and releasing every week, now they were invading Fortnitemares with Ghostbusters. Once again, sounds amazing on paper, until they actually dropped default skins with jumpsuits on. Little did we know this trend will become even worse in the years to come, as the downfall of Fortnitemares was already starting to begin. We got glimpses of problems of 2020, and the cracks kept expanding with Chapter 2's final event, The Wrath of the Cube Queen. At the beginning, this sounded incredible, like it could be the best one yet. The Chapter 3 villain had arrived on the map, bringing with her a new POI, the Convergence, a huge pyramid made of cubes that would ultimately serve as the location of a live event. But before we got there, plenty of content was added to distract us, like the reveal of Caretakers, a huge enemy that would roam the map and terrify players. These were insanely cool to fight against, and a breath of fresh air after dealing with regular zombies for all these years. We also got a new melee weapon called the Sideways Scythe, letting you wipe out waves of cube monsters in just a few slashes. Not to mention, it was a great mobility item. It definitely served as inspiration for the Shockwave Hammer. That doesn't mean it was without problems though. All of the Sideways items had to be upgraded with cube parts, which made them an insane grind every time. And while the Caretakers were a great addition, they could ruin your entire match, dragging you into sideways and blocking you from building. If you weren't prepared to fight them, congrats, you just died for no reason. And while the Resident Evil collab was exactly what we hoped for, other cosmetics felt out of place. Ariana Grande returned with an exclusive Halloween skin, Cause dropped a skeleton outfit, while superhero skins were turned into zombies. A comeback we should have been excited for was Midas. Yeah, Shadow Midas was finally an unlockable skin, which was great, but at the same time, he was a year old by now. In reality, this felt like a successor to 2018, tying the Cube storyline into Halloween once again, and this time doing it to hype up a live event. But there was a problem with this. It kind of ruined the whole point. Everything that was going on, like the Convergence POI, the Cube Queen's return, it would have happened anyway. They were crucial to the Chapter 2 finale, and it felt like Epic just slapped the Fortnitemares logo on it so they could hit two birds with one stone. Now don't get me wrong, this is pretty good, but sadly it'd be the last time we could compliment Epic. They changed the game so much previously that they were afraid of touching Battle Royale again, and so as the event continued to decline, we were about to get the single worst Halloween in history. Chapter 3 had one shot at doing it right, and man, did it miss the mark. The entire thing was promoted with this image showing a DJ at the reality tree. That felt already weird, but it gave us the impression that some kind of special concert would happen here. Well, it's only for us to drop at DJ Leica, and nothing really changed. They're performing to a weird crowd of ghosts, and even if you wanted to enjoy the music, you'd just be eliminated. On the bright side, anyone who danced here would enter a ritual that gave them the Howler Claws, a brand new weapon that sounded amazing, only for it to be totally underwhelming. And even if you did like it, a bug caused them to be insanely broken, forcing Epic to remove them halfway through the event. This left the DJ POI to be completely useless, and no one ever thought about it again. But luckily, there was a useful Halloween location on the other side of the map. This is Grim Gables, an abandoned house that was full of secrets. In the graveyard, you could read the tombstones and get ridiculous responses like how Meowscles is almost out of lives, or someone died who didn't thank the bus driver. In the house itself, there was a secret boss that could only be found under the floorboards. Drop into this hidden mine shaft and summon the Inquisitor. It wasn't exactly the coolest boss, but you could find a totally different enemy in this shack on the other side of the island. Upon entering, you'll be chased out by Willow, who was determined to kill you with her axe. It was terrifying. Speaking of shacks, you could even find the cabin from Evil Dead. This was packed full of Easter eggs, from the cellar to the talking moose in the wall. As you can see, they had something going for this event, so much potential, but all of the problems eventually dragged Fortnitemares down. But sure, I'd love to sit here and tell you that Ash Williams was the main collab, but sadly the attention went somewhere else. On day one of Fortnitemares, they released a crossover in the item shop. Was it Jason Voorhees, maybe Freddy Krueger? Who was the first Halloween skin to grace our lockers? Yeah, it was Summer from Rick and Morty. And if you went to the returning Horde Rush LTM, the main image was taken over by this guy in the corner. Of course, it's Pickle Rick, the free reward for 2022's challenges. It made absolutely no sense why he'd be the face of Horde Rush. As for the Inquisitor, I showed how cool he was, but this wasn't even worth visiting. Grim Gables was full of fog, jump scare zombies, possessed furniture, so nobody picked this as a drop spot. And even if you eliminated the boss, the only reward you got was a suppressed SMG that claimed to be mythic, but had the exact same stats as the legendary. They also picked no worst time to drop a Fortnitemares, in the middle of a season where Chrome had taken over the entire map. POIs were already hideous from the silver colors, so there was no room for Halloween decorations. The overall vibe of this event just felt off, and the decorations they did use were called pathetic, like a single pumpkin outside a house. They even changed the logo, which everyone hated. Pretty much agreed that this is the lowest point the event has ever seen, and we are desperate for a comeback in 2023. So did this year live up to expectations? On one hand, Halloween just doesn't feel the same as it used to. 2023 also had no decorations around the map, and they even removed jump scare zombies. Some would argue that's a good thing, as Epic broke all tradition and wanted to distance themselves from the disaster of 2022. But it also makes the game feel less Halloween themed than ever. In fact, the lobby background this year is just a time machine, with more focus on the build up to next season than the actual Fortnitemares event. We also got the return of Rick and Morty before any Halloween skins actually dropped. At least this time was to promote a new season though. Sadly, we got the least amount of changes ever to Battle Royale, with no new POIs, the same Horde Rush mode as last year, and items that we're used to seeing like the Witch Broom, except 10 times worse. They nerfed this thing, adding a cooldown that prevents you from shooting after landing. Okay, you hear all that and you think, wow, is this another disaster in a row? And yes, you could argue that Fortnitemares' decline is still happening, but I haven't brought up all the great features this year brought us. This time around, the collabs are starting to meet expectations. Back in the day, if you wanted to be a classic Halloween character, you'd have to play Save the World. But now we are getting real deal slashers like Michael Myers. Not only is the set amazing, the pickaxe has an incredible homage to Psycho. We also got Jack Skellington, a crossover that nobody expected but are absolutely loving. Finally, a classic Halloween movie in Fortnite. And of course, it wouldn't be the spooky season without a random collab though, so they dropped Alan Wake to promote the new game. It felt a little forced, but it's better than Pickle Rick. Over in game, we have a new boss to face, Kato Thorn, who has activated a Revenant style and now flies around draining your soul. He's one of the toughest Fortnitemares bosses we've ever faced with over 2,000 health, but the rewards are amazing, especially the kinetic blade. And there's even a secret trick to defeating him. This is the new wood stake shotgun, a super long range shotty that fires wood instead of bullets. Of course, Kato's a vampire, so you'd expect wooden stakes to deal double damage, and surprisingly it does. To truly fix the problems from last year, they even brought back the original Fortnitemares logo, but is it enough to stop the decline? Personally, I think Epic did a good job this year, and I can't wait to see how Chapter 5 learns from all of these lessons. That was the rise and fall of Fortnitemares. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.